Good morning students. Welcome to the History and Civics class of class 7th. We were doing lesson number 1 of History, Medieval Europe, Rise and Spread of Christianity. Topics to be discussed in this lesson are number 1, its introduction, number 2, meaning of the term medieval, number 3, social political circumstances, number 4, Roman conquest of Palestine, number 5, birth of Christianity, 6. Main teachings of Jesus, number 7. Crucifixion of Jesus, number 8. Religious texts, number 9. Spread of Christianity, number 10. Emergence of Constantinople as the new capital, number 11. Decline of the ancient Roman Empire, number 12. Barbarian invasions, number 13. Byzantium or Byzantine Empire, number 14. Emergence of the Turks and Crusades, number 15. Impact of monasteries. Students, we have done till emergence of Turks and Crusades. Today we will discuss impact of monasteries. Before starting with the today's topic, let us recall the cross questions of previous topic. Number 1. Why was Jerusalem an important place for Christians? Number 2. What were Crusades? Number 3. When did the first crusade begin? Number 4. What was the result of third crusade? Number 5. Who were Mamluks? Students, you have to take out chapter 1, page number 16 of your book. Our topic is impact of monasteries. What are monasteries? A place where monks live. The habitation of the monks were known as monasteries. The monasteries for the nuns were known as nunneries or convents. Life in the monastery was very simple and orderly. Monks and the nuns had to follow a very rigid code of conduct. What is code of conduct? Rules and regulations. Monks and nuns had to follow very rigid rules and regulations. Impact of monasteries. With the spread of Christianity, many churches were built in Europe. By the end of 5th century AD, every village, town and city had at least one church. The priest of the church spread the doctrines of Christianity and served the needy and the poor. Here the word doctrines means teachings. The priest of the church spread the teachings of the Christianity and served needy and the poor people. Some of the more pious priests preferred to live in isolated places, far away from the main cities. Here the word isolated means alone places and the word pious means devoutly religious. These priests came to be known as monks and their residence was called monastery. Residence means a place to live. Similarly, many women also left behind the life of luxury to help the depressed class. Depressed, sad. These women were called nuns. They lived separately in nunneries or convents. These monks and nuns lived in solitude. Solitude means a state of being alone, means lonely. They also led simple lives. They didn't marry. They didn't possess luxuries and led spiritual lives. They dedicated their whole life to the service of humanity. Humanity means human race. The monks and the nuns were given freedom from military services, debts, obligations, personal responsibilities and punishments for offences. Debts means curse. Obligations, a binding promise. Offence, breaking of rules. They were given freedom from the debts, obligations or offences and punishment for offences. Their day was spent in prayers, study and service to humanity. Monastery had a large, strong and a simple building surrounded by gardens, orchards, fields and ponds. Monastery also had a residential part. It had a warming room with a fireplace. It had dormitory. It means in a building it is a room with number of beds. Serves as quarter in an institution or college. It had a pair of stairs for monastic buildings and for the church. It had a chapter house for daily meetings. It had infirmary to look after the sick and the old monks. Monasteries had abbey, a small church with the living quarters, with a kitchen and storerooms for the monks and the nuns. Hospitals, schools and libraries were also attached to the most of the monasteries. Monks like Saint Francis and Saint Augustine were the famous Christian monks. They laid stress on purity, honesty and charity. In due course of time, monasteries began to play a dominant role in the history of medieval Europe. Dominant means main role. The monasteries played main role in the history of medieval Europe. They made the following contribution to the society. Monasteries became the centers for the spread of Christianity. Monks traveled far away places to spread the message of Jesus Christ. They encouraged people to convert to Christianity. Thus, many people accepted Christianity as their religion. Number 2. Monasteries were the important center of learning. Some of the monasteries in due course of time developed into the famous center of learning. They imparted both religious and the secular education. History, philosophy, astrology, medicine and the law were the main subjects taught beside the religious texts. Monasteries provided service to humanity. The monks and the nuns dedicated their whole life to the service of poor, needy and sick. They educated the illiterate, provided shelter to the travelers, gave food and clothing to the helpless. Number 4. The monks brought much of the barren land under cultivation and used better quality of seed for surplus production. The word surplus means extra and the word barren means the land which is infertile and incapable of producing crops. They also practiced crop rotation. What is crop rotation? It is a method of farming where number of different plants are grown one after other on a field so that the soil stayed healthy and fertile. Number 5. The monasteries also served as cultural centers. Architecture, mural painting, glass paintings and the wood carving developed and flourished in the monasteries. Mural paintings, any piece of artwork applied directly on the wall. Number 6. A monastery kept the records of the most significant events of their time and acted as chronicles of the medieval history. Students, with this we have completed our lesson number 1. I hope you have done your back exercises side by side. Thank you and have a nice day.